welcome to Activity Quest, the podcast that's packed with stuff to do. In this week's episode, Adam's off to the Roman baths in Bath, and we're looking at Goldcrest birds withdrew. My name's Bex, and every week we go up and down the country on the quest for something epic. This week, Adam's getting all Roman.
Hi, so I'm Jess, and I'm the Visitor Experience Supervisor here at the Roman Baths. So I supervise the amazing, brilliant, talented front of house team. So when you visit the museum, anybody that you see helping out around the site, that'll be me and the team.
So we've just tucked ourselves in the corner here. Below us, some greenish looking water. Jess, describe where we are and what we're looking at.
It is very green, yeah. So we're on the top terrace at the moment, and we're currently a few metres above, about 6 metres above modern day street level. But of course the Romans would have had a lot lower street level. So we're looking down on the Great Bath, and it's a green colour because of the algae that live in the water. So in the Roman times they would have had a roof over this site here. We would have been inside. Today, obviously we're outside, so the sunlight and the temperature of the water means that the algae grows and grows and grows until we get this very lime green colour to the Great Bath. You'll also notice maybe some orangey colours in there as well. That's because the water that comes up from deep underground has 43 minerals in it, and one of them is iron. So that orange staining that we see around the site is the iron oxide that's in the water.
And people obviously can't bathe here today, but in the past this would have been full of some very important people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people in the Roman Empire, they visited from far and wide. And the great thing about bathhouses was that they were really open to everybody. There was a fee. It was quite low usually. So people could visit from all calibers of life, and including rich people that had their own bathhouses. They would come here too, to the public bathhouse, because then they could mingle and socialise and meet people and things like that. So they would all be here.
And just as we stand here on this terrace, there's a wonderful mix of languages that I can hear from visitors. There's sort of the sound of buskers outside being carried on the wind. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which basically means that it's incredibly important historically and culturally. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a combination of things, really. We've got one of the best preserved Roman sites in Northern Europe here in Bath. We're really, really so lucky. And then also we've got the Georgian and Victorian architecture as well on top of that. And we preserve the whole site now, not just the 2,000-year-old pieces, but also the bits that are over 100 years old, and take care and look after those. And that's what makes the site so special.
We've just gone down some steps. We've just gone through a little bit of the museum. There are some incredible, fascinating artefacts in there. And then we've come down another set of steps, and there's sort of a mini theatre where you can look at some incredible chunks of stone. Jess, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so this is the front of the temple, where it would have housed a bronze head with gold on it of the goddess Sulis Minerva. And she was really important here. When the Romans arrived, they didn't know how all this hot water was coming from deep underground. It was magical to them. So they thought that it was the goddess Minerva. They put this with the Celtic goddess. The Celts were already here before the Romans arrived, so the Romans took the Celtic goddess Sul, and they took their own goddess Minerva, put them together, Sulis Minerva, and then a lot of the temple was dedicated to her. So what we're looking at is the front of the temple now, and a lot of the stones, it was like a jigsaw, so gradually they found all of the stones throughout their time excavating here in Bath and added them into the front here. So in the middle we can see the face of what looks like the face of a man with a long beard and sort of snakes in his hair. Now this is very like the Gorgon, but the Gorgon from Greek mythology was female, so it can't be the Gorgon. It might be Sul, the Celtic god of water. It could be Poseidon, because again got a lot of hot water going on here as well, and you can see the waves in his hair and his beard. But yeah, essentially we don't know 100% who this person is, but when the Romans arrived, they would have marvelled at the front of this temple. It would have been 12 metres high, so it would have been absolutely huge stone building, which before the Romans arrived, as far as we know, didn't exist in Britain. So large temple there. We've also got, if you visit, and you can try and spot these things, the helmet is a dolphin head. And there's a little owl as well in the other corner. And all this symbolism are things that the Romans added, and they believed they had something to do with the sacred site here at the town, which was called Aquae Sulis.
Perhaps your brother has stolen your PE kit once upon a time, or I don't know, maybe you've lost something and you're convinced that somebody's stolen it. Well, that's happened throughout the ages. Right now we're looking at small pieces of lead that have been inscribed with a whole range of weird and wonderful things.
Yeah, exactly. So we're looking at curse tablets, which is something that the Romans wrote if something had been stolen from them and they wanted to seek justice. And so this one, for example, we've got a very small curse tablet there. It says, it's for the theft of a pair of gloves around the bathhouse. They say that the thief should lose his mind and his eyes. So quite strong there. And then we've got another one with just a list of names on it. So possible thieves, perhaps. We don't know. And then we've got one with an unusual spelling as well. And that could have been because the writer had dyslexia. Sometimes they wrote their own. Sometimes they paid a scribe to write them for them. Then they would fold them up. They were on very thin sheets of lead there, and they would throw them into the sacred spring, which is here on site, and then hope that the thief would get karma.
Okay, we're just wandering outside now. We're on the, I guess, the lower terrace, and we're just wandering to the edge of the baths. I'll try my very best not to fall in.
Yeah, so we're now down on Roman level, right next to the Great Bath, and it's great because you can get really close, but it's best not to touch the water because, like we can see here, there's some feathers in it, there's some insects in there, so it's not the cleanest to touch. So the Great Bath here is the largest one on site that we have, and it would have been the largest in Roman times too. It holds, the water is 5 foot deep, about 1.5 meters, and there are stone steps leading in on all sides. So that was perfect for the Romans because they weren't using this so much as a swimming pool, doing lengths up and down. This was like a giant jacuzzi. So they would just decide which step they would sit on. Maybe they just want their feet in the water. Maybe they want to go submerged up to the neck. And they would be sitting around chatting, catching up on all the news from the empire, having a gossip. Really a lot like we do at swimming pools today and spas. The water is hot as well to this day. So how the water is heated is that about sort of 5,000 metres underneath the Earth's crust there, it passes through rocks that produce a type of heat, like a chemical reaction. The water that fell as rain on the Mendip Hills, a few miles away there, it passes down to this 5,000 metre area, and then it goes through the rocks and it picks up all the hot water on its journey to Bath. Then, when it gets to Bath, it can't go any further because there's a layer of clay where the water can't get through, so the water starts to come up instead. And then, luckily, in Bath, we've got a fault line, a gap in the rock, and it's called the Pennyquick Fault. And then the water comes up to us in 3 places in the city, and the largest place is here at the Roman Baths. So by the time the water comes up to us, it's 46 degrees Celsius, so that's hotter than a hot tub or a shower. And then by the time it channels through into the Great Bath here, it's about 36, 37 degrees Celsius, so it's about body temperature, and that's the perfect temperature for bathing.
Okay, Jess is just handing me a very small paper cup cone. I've been told that this water is going to be warm to drink. We're going to pop that under. I've got my spa water. Cheers, Jess.
Cheers.
Thank you for showing me around.
It's quite metallic.
It's warm. And it is very metallic, isn't it? It's sort of, I don't advise that you do this at home, but it's sort of like putting a coin in your mouth almost.
Yeah, it's like making a tea with pennies.
Yeah, well there we go. I've had some Roman bath spa water. Everybody's sort of scowling like they've got a sour taste in their mouth. But I've had some Roman spa water here at the Roman Bath Spas in Bath. Jess, thank you so much for showing me around.
Oh, thanks for having me today.
Thanks, Adam. It sounds pretty cool, actually. I do love stuff from the Roman times. You can find out more by searching for the Roman Baths in Bath. Now it's the time of the podcast where we go into our backyards or balconies or parks to find out what is happening in the natural world. We might suggest you spot a moth or a butterfly, or this week, a bird.
Hidden among the dense branches of evergreen trees, Europe's smallest bird flits silently through the forest. Today we follow the trail of the Goldcrest, a tiny but mighty bird withdrew from the British Trust for Ornithology.
Yeah, so I'm Drew Linus. I'm the Engagement and Development Coordinator for the BTO. So basically it's my role to try and find more people to get involved with some of our citizen science projects and our surveys.
Goldcrests are impossibly small, so light they weigh the same as a 10p coin. Yet these delicate birds embark on epic journeys across the North Sea to reach our shores each winter.
They are long-distance migrants as well, which is fascinating. So even though they're so small, they're capable of flying all the way across the North Sea to spend the winter in our shores. But we also have a small population of Goldcrest that spend all year with us as well.
Their size demands clever adaptations. To stay warm and safe, Goldcrests favour evergreen trees, sheltering among the dense needles.
That's correct. Yeah, they do. So they live in evergreen trees that never lose their leaf. Reason being, because a Goldcrest is so small, they like to find the densest vegetation to hide in. And they've got these really tiny little thin bills that are perfect for picking out small insects from in between pine needles in a pine tree. So if you go into a pine forest, listen out for them. They've got this really, really high-pitched twittering call. So if you can just about hear it and you think it's right on the tip of my hearing range, it's probably going to be a Goldcrest.
In winter, they keep in contact with each other through subtle calls, but in spring, their song rings out through the trees.
Yeah, so in the winter, they will do this tiny little twittering contact call that's very, very hard to hear. But in the spring, they have a song which they sing to declare their territory. So basically say, this tree is my song. So this tree is my territory. And they'll sing to declare that. Their song sounds a bit like if you imagine watching horse racing on TV. That's basically what they sound like, but a really high-pitched version of that.
Their namesake is unmissable. A flash of gold atop their head gives this bird its royal title.
The Goldcrest, as is their name, they have this really nice little golden stripe on the top of their head, and they can flare that up as a little crest, so it will stick up from their head, and you'll see little bits of orange in the middle of their crest as well. They're actually, in folklore, they were kind of known as the king of birds because they've got this crest which basically looks a bit like a crown. And actually, every bird species has been given a Latin name. That's when they assign them to a species in science. And Goldcrest's Latin name, if translated into English, basically means prince or king of birds.
But don't be fooled by their size. Goldcrests are surprisingly bold.
Yeah, they're very, very feisty for such a small bird. They can see off bigger things like blue tits and great tits from their territory quite easily. You wouldn't want to get into a fight with a Goldcrest.
Unlike other garden birds, Goldcrests don't visit feeders, but there are still ways to support them.
Yeah, the best thing to do is just to leave some scrubby areas. Goldcrest don't come to bird feeders. They will occasionally use bird baths. So if you've got a little area of water they can come down and drink from and splash in, they will do that. But otherwise, the best thing you can do is just leave some scrubby areas where there's a lot of dense vegetation that they can hide in, with lots of juicy grubs for them to eat inside of that.
In the hush of a conifer forest or the tangle of your garden shrubs, a Goldcrest may be quietly going about its business, singing, foraging and defending its tiny kingdom.
it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Drew and Adam. Thank you so much to those guys for telling us all about today's special nature adventure. And that's all we've got time for you today. I'm Bex, and this has been a podcast from the UK's children's radio station, Fun Kids. Listen to me on your DAB digital radio, online, on the free Fun Kids mobile app, and on your smart speaker. Just say, play Fun Kids every weekday from 4 p.m. See you soon.